Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, and today's video will be covering another new Nintendo Switch eShop sale and 10 great games to buy this week, so let's get into it. The first game on today's list is Death's Gambit Afterlife. Now, Death's Gambit Afterlife is a 2D action platformer Metroidvania, and you'll play as a minion of death as you try to do his bidding to try and eliminate immortality and restore the natural order of life and death. And now this game is actually a revamped version of the original, where they've made several different quality of life enhancements and improved things as a whole. Now for the game itself, it has a massive world to explore, really cool pixel art graphics. The game also features multiple character classes you can choose from at the start of the game, which can really alter your play style and gives you a great replay value to the game as well. It has incredibly challenging bosses. There's different alternate endings, a new game plus, and much more. So I think if you're looking for another great action platformer Metroidvania, this one's worth checking out. The next game is Vampire Survivors. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, it's one of the most addictive and fun games that has come out in recent years. It's a reverse bullet hell survival game, and you'll play as a variety of different heroes as you try and take on hundreds of demonic monsters and enemies that will come at you wave after wave, and your goal is to survive the night. And so throughout this game, you'll have many different playable characters that you can choose from and many that you can unlock throughout the game. But how the game works is you start off with your character of choice and one weapon type. And over time, as you kill enemies, you'll collect gems and gold, and this will help you power up and level up your character. And each level up you can choose from a variety of buffs. This might be new weapons, this might be power-ups to your stat, your movement speed, various things like that. And as you level up these weapon types, they become more powerful as well, and the enemies steadily increase over time. You'll try and survive as long as you can, and hopefully survive the night, but it gets increasingly difficult as the level progresses. There's tons of great items, like magic wands, whips, axes, holy water, crosses, and much more. There's tons of unlockables and secrets to find throughout the game, which will have you coming back for more. There's a wide variety of DLCs for the game as well, adding new characters and levels and much more. It's one of my favorite games in recent years, and I definitely recommend it. The next game is Adventure Time: Pirates of the Enchiridion. Now in this game, you'll join the heroes of Adventure Time, Jake and Finn, as they go on an adventure to try and solve a mystery that has left the world flooded and overrun by water, and you'll go on a quest to try and save the world and restore it to its original form. And the game somewhat feels like an action-adventure game mixed with a turn-based RPG. And so you'll experience a lot of different exploration as you sail across the high seas. This will leave you fighting pirates and exploring new lands. But it also, as I mentioned, has some great turn-based RPG elements. So when you enter into combat, it turns into a turn-based battle, and you'll fight it out against lots of enemies, and earn gold you can use to power up your characters. The game also has a unique element of almost interrogation and playing sort of a good cop, bad cop scenario with different vital characters as you try and uncover key information to help you unravel this mystery. It has a great sense of humor and full-on voice acting throughout the game. And I think if you like action-adventure games, turn-based RPGs, and especially if you're a fan of Adventure Time, you'll enjoy this game as well. The next game is Undertale. Now Undertale is a very unique turn-based RPG set in the world of monsters as you play as a young child that has gotten lost in the world, and you need to find your way out of this monster realm in hopes of getting back to the human world. Now the story itself really pulls at your emotions, and on top of that, it has a very fun and compelling combat system. And so the game is more of a turn-based RPG, but it does have a cool element where you can dodge enemy attacks, almost like an action platformer. So there'll be a little box where you need to move around a heart, and different enemies will have unique attack patterns, and so you can dodge those as part of your defensive strategy. Now throughout the game too, you're also faced with different choices, whether you want to kill enemies or figure out different ways to avoid combat. And so this is a cool challenge where you can take on all the enemies and defeat them with your might, or you can maybe talk them out of the battle, convince them to stop fighting, and much more. And so this is a very cool option to have these different choices, and it really makes a huge impact on the game as well. It leads to multiple different endings, depending on how you choose to play through the game. And as I mentioned, it has a really incredible story. So don't let the more basic graphics fool you, because it's an amazing turn-based RPG, and I would definitely recommend it. The next game is Steamworld Quest: Hand of Gilgamech. And so this game is a deck-building turn-based RPG set in a unique steampunk fantasy universe. And you'll play the game as some different ragtag robot heroes as they find their home being attacked by the Void Army, and they go on a quest to stop this evil Void Army from causing more harm to the world. And so the game itself has a pretty fun sense of humor and a quirky writing style, and I think you'll enjoy that as you progress through the game. And the combat is more turn-based combat, but uses a card battling system. And so throughout the game, you'll collect several different cards and be able to power them up. And you can use those throughout combat to unleash attacks and abilities. And over time, depending on what cards you use, you'll power up different steam points that you can use to unleash even more powerful abilities. And while you do progressively add more and more cards to your deck, you need to choose a limited amount of cards that you're going to bring into battle. And so this can really lead into the strategy and planning of the game to make sure that your cards fit your combat and play style. I think it's a fun deck building RPG, and if you like that style of gameplay, I would definitely recommend it. The next game is Backpack Hero. And so Backpack Hero is a deck building roguelike turn-based RPG mixed with some inventory management. And you'll play as different young heroes that go on a quest to gather resources to rebuild their hometown and restore the world. And so throughout the game, you'll be able to play as different character types, and they all have a really unique play style with them. But the overall concept of the game is it's a turn-based RPG, as I mentioned, sort of a deck building game where you start off with a small backpack, and over time you'll acquire different items, weapons, armor, and much more, and you'll need to strategically organize them in this backpack. It almost feels like the classic Resident Evil inventory management, where you need to move swords around at different angles, add different items in different places. But what's cool, beyond just selecting these items in your backpack throughout combat, you'll actually be able to earn different bonuses depending on the placement of the items and how they're arranged, and you'll need to combine that with your unique character's powers as well. Over time, as you level up, your backpack will expand, and this will give you more options to enhance your strategy and take advantage of different combos throughout combat. It's a really cool concept and highly addictive, and I definitely recommend it. The next game is Arcadian Atlas. And so this game is a tactical RPG similar to classic titles like Final Fantasy Tactics. And you'll play as two lovers torn apart in a war-torn kingdom full of political strife. And so you'll get sucked into this war, and this leads to the many combat scenarios throughout the game. And so again, it features tactical turn-based combat where you'll control a team of characters that feature a variety of job classes and abilities, and you'll need to defeat enemies or complete different challenges throughout these combat scenarios. And so you'll start off with some basic character classes like warriors and mages and healers. But over time, as you level up these character classes, you'll unlock new combinations and more advanced classes, which can really expand your strategy and alter your playstyle throughout the game. Now, it can be quite challenging as the game does feature permadeath, and so eventually you'll have the option to hire new characters as well, further expanding your team. So again, I think if you like tactical RPGs or were a fan of Final Fantasy Tactics, I think you'll enjoy this game and I'd recommend it. The next game is Card-en-Ciel. And so this game is a roguelike card battling RPG similar to the classic Mega Man Battle Network series. And so in this game, you'll play in a world of a full dive VR game, Rust Tactics, and you'll actually be playing as Neo, a gaming chair detective. And so throughout this gaming world, You'll soon discover that different video game characters are invading this world, and you need to unravel the mystery as to why this is happening and who's behind it. And so the combat throughout the game features more of a grid-based combat, but unlike the Mega Man Battle Network games that this is sort of based on, instead of being more of a card battler mixed with an action RPG on a grid, this time it's focused more on turn-based combat while using this card-based system. And so you'll need to strategically position your characters on this grid and use your card abilities to attack specific positions, cause status effects, boost your own character's stats, and much more. Another neat thing is the entire game is voice acted, and it has a cool anime art style as well. I think if you like card battler RPGs or have enjoyed the Mega Man Battle Network series, this game's worth checking out as well. The next game is Nightmare Reaper. And so Nightmare Reaper is a roguelike retro-inspired looter shooter and feels very similar to classic Doom titles with a modern twist. And so throughout the game, you'll be playing as a patient inside a mental hospital, and you've had some different mental breakdowns, and you're trying to figure out a way to escape this hospital. And so what happens is that every time you go to sleep, you're transported into this nightmarish hellish realm, and you need to defeat all the enemies and find a way to escape. And so the levels are all procedurally generated, and so this is cool and keeps things fresh, and you never really know what's coming around every corner. Now, a cool aspect of the game is that there's dozens, if not almost hundreds of weapons throughout the game, and they have all kinds of different types. So you've got melee weapons like swords and chainsaws, there's magical weapons like spellbooks and staffs, your typical weapons like pistols, shotguns, and machine guns, bow and arrows, and much more. Another neat element is that these guns all have unique stats associated with them, and sometimes even elemental factors like fire and ice as well. So it does have that old school look of pixel art and kind of that 2D meets 3D animation, but it does have a more modern feel and gameplay elements to it. And so throughout the game, you'll collect coins as you defeat enemies, and you can use that to level up and enhance your skill tree. And the cool part of this skill tree is it actually pulls you into kind of retro gaming systems, and you'll go through little different worlds, almost like Super Mario Bros. 3, and you'll take on simplistic action platforming levels to eventually unlock these skills to power up your character. And so this is a little fun break to the game, and just as another added bonus, instead of just strictly unlocking the skills, you're faced with these tiny challenges, and I enjoyed that throughout the game. The game is pretty tough, but it is rewarding as you're getting these coins and unlocking these skills, and it has enough variety to keep you interested as you play throughout the game. So if you like looter shooters or classic first-person shooter games like Doom, I would definitely recommend it. The final game on today's list is Brotato. And so Brotato is a roguelike reverse bullet hell survival game similar to Vampire Survivors, but this time around you'll be playing as Brotatos, which are kind of generic potato-like characters, each with their own unique playstyle and feel, and you'll be taking on waves of alien enemies. And so one difference with this compared to Vampire Survivors is that you don't have an unlockable skill tree that kind of stays present over time. Each run is what it is, and so you'll start with that base difficulty, and you'll be able to unlock many different playable characters over time, each with a unique feel and play style. There's dozens of weapons to find and power up throughout the game, unique stat buffs, but each one of these stat buffs actually is kind of almost a double-edged sword. So you'll be able to either power your character up, but it also comes with some different weaknesses that harm you as well. So you really need to strategically choose the right power-ups to fit your playstyle. And so this was another cool element that made it even more addictive. And so I think if you like survival games like Vampire Survivors with a twist, I would recommend this game as well. But again, that wraps up our list of this latest Nintendo Switch eShop sale and 10 more games worth buying. But let us know in the comments below, if you played any of these games before, are you going to pick any of them up now that you know that they're on sale? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. And if you'd like to help support the channel, pick out content and more, become a patron of ours over at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And another really cool way you can help support the channel is we partnered with a game store, Nutmeg Games. So if you like Pokemon cards, board games, Magic cards, and more, head to nutmeggames.com/nerdproblemsgaming and use our promo code nerdproblemsgaming at checkout. You'll get 10% off your order and help support the channel at the same time. And if you liked videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.